My daughter left me in a nursing home on my birthday, cold, without hugs, with papers about moving. 3 days later, I won $2 million in the lottery. I changed my number, rewrote my will, and crossed her out forever. A week later, she knocked on the door of my new house. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you were listening in the comments. The cake sat on the kitchen counter, chocolate with white frosting, 67 candles waiting in their box beside it. I'd hung streamers across the archway between the kitchen and dining room, blue and silver, nothing fancy, just enough to mark the occasion, my birthday. 67 years old today, March 15th. I checked my watch again. 6:30. They were supposed to arrive at 4. The chicken I'd prepared was cold now, congealing on the stove. I'd set 3 places at the dining table, folded the napkins the way my late wife used to. Martha always said presentation mattered, even for family dinners, especially for family dinners. I walked to the window, pulled back the curtain. Empty driveway. The street was quiet, oak trees casting long shadows in the fading light. 2 hours late, no call, no text. My phone sat on the coffee table, silent. 7 o'clock came, then 7:30. I turned on the lamp in the living room, its warm glow illuminating the family photos on the walls. Maud's graduation picture, her wedding photo with Kevin, me holding her as a baby, Martha beside me, both of us young and smiling. Headlights swept across the window at 7:45. I straightened, smoothed my shirt, arranged my face into something welcoming. The disappointment could wait. They were here now. The front door opened without a knock. Maud walked in first, her expression flat, businesslike. Kevin followed, carrying 2 manila folders instead of a wrapped present. No cake box, no gift bag, nothing. "You're late," I said, keeping my voice light. I was worried something happened. "We need to talk, Dad." Maud moved past me toward the dining table. "Sit down." No hug, no apology, no acknowledgement of the streamers or the cake or the carefully set table. Kevin closed the door behind him with a soft click that sounded too final. I stayed standing. "Is everything all right?" "Sit. Down." Maud pulled out a chair, waited. Something in her tone made my legs move. I sat. Kevin remained by the door, folders pressed against his chest like a shield. Maud opened her purse, pulled out reading glasses I'd never seen her wear before. She put them on slowly, deliberately, then opened the first folder and spread papers across the table. Legal documents. My name printed at the top of each page. "We've enrolled you in Sunny Meadows," she said. Her voice was calm, detached, like she was discussing a grocery list. "You signed the transfer papers last month. The house is mine now." The words didn't connect at first. I stared at the documents, at signatures that looked like mine but couldn't be. "What?" My mouth felt dry. Those were insurance documents." "Dad, you're forgetting things." She tapped one paper with her manicured nail. "It's getting worse. This is for your own good." I reached for the papers, tried to focus on the small print. March 14th. A month ago. I remembered something. Maud had come by, said she needed me to sign paperwork for updated homeowner's insurance. She'd been rushed, hovering over my shoulder, flipping pages quickly. "The lawyer already reviewed everything," she'd told me then. "Just sign where I've marked." "I'm not leaving my house." I pushed back from the table, stood. "You can't do this." Kevin shifted by the door. He pulled out his phone. "The transport is already on the way. It's done." "Stop being difficult." Maud gathered the papers, returned them to the folder with crisp, efficient movements. "You'll be safer there. Let me call my lawyer." I turned toward the coffee table where I'd left my phone. "Dad, you're confused." Maud's voice softened, became almost pitying. "You don't have a lawyer, see? This is exactly why you need care." I froze, tried to remember the name. Johnson? Jenkins? The man I'd used for my will years ago. The name wouldn't come, slipping away like water through my fingers. Maud saw my hesitation. She smiled, but there was nothing warm in it. "I'll start packing your things," Kevin said, already moving toward the hallway. "No." I stepped toward him, but Maud caught my arm. "Dad, you're not thinking clearly." I pulled away, followed Kevin to my bedroom. He was already opening drawers, pulling out clothes, piling them on the bed. I reached for a box he'd filled with my books, tried to take it from him. "Kevin, stop this. This is my home. He didn't meet my eyes, just kept packing, mechanical, efficient. I went back to the living room, grabbed my phone from the coffee table, needed to call someone, anyone, a neighbor, my old colleague from the accounting firm, someone who could explain to them this was wrong. Maud appeared beside me. Her hand knocked against mine as she reached for something on the table. The phone slipped, hit the floor. The screen spiderwebbed, went dark. "Oh, I'm sorry," she said, not sounding sorry at all. "How clumsy of me." The next hour passed in fragments, Kevin making calls, Maud sorting through my belongings with frightening efficiency, deciding what I'd need and what would stay. The transport van arriving in the driveway, 2 men in uniforms stepping out. I stood in my living room, watching strangers carry boxes containing 30 years of my life out through my front door. "This is my home." My voice came out quiet, stunned. "I raised you here." Maud walked to the hook by the door where I kept my house keys. She took them down, dropped them into her purse while looking directly at me. "It's just a house, Dad." She zipped her purse closed. "You'll adjust." One of the transport men touched my elbow gently. "Ready to go, Mr. Smith?" I wasn't ready, would never be ready. But Kevin was behind me, Maud beside me, and the van waited in the driveway with its door open. They guided me outside. The evening air was cool, carrying the scent of jasmine from the neighbor's hedge. I'd planted those jasmine vines 20 years ago, helped them spread to the property line. The van seat was cold against my back. Kevin closed the door with a solid thunk that reverberated through my chest. Through the window, I watched him lock my front door, his front door now, with my keys. The van pulled away from the curb. I turned, looked back at the house, growing smaller. The porch light was on. I'd left it on for their arrival when I still thought this was just a birthday dinner. My hands clenched into fists in my lap. The shock was draining away, replaced by something else, something colder, sharper. I caught my reflection in the side mirror. My face had changed. The confusion was gone. I stopped looking back at the house. I started calculating. The van stopped. I let them guide me inside, my mind already elsewhere. Sunny Meadows retirement home smelled like industrial cleaner and overcooked vegetables. A woman behind the reception desk stood when we entered, her smile professional and practiced. "Welcome, Mr. Smith." She came around the desk with a clipboard. "Your daughter explained your situation. We'll take good care of you." "My situation?" I kept my voice soft, confused sounding. "Memory issues. It's okay, you're safe here." I said nothing. Let her believe what Maud had told her, but I watched everything. The security keypad by the entrance, the sign-out sheet on the desk, the emergency exit at the end of the hallway with its lit red sign. They gave me a room on the second floor, small, clean, a bed, a dresser, a desk and chair by the window. Institutional, but not unkind. I sat on the bed after they left. The mattress was too soft. 3 days crawled by. I went through the motions, showed up for meals in the dining hall, attended the morning activities, chair exercises, trivia games. Let the staff see an old man who was dazed, compliant, processing his sudden change in circumstance. But in my room, alone, I reconstructed everything. I sat at the small desk with paper and pen they had provided, writing out the timeline. March 14th, a month ago. Maud had arrived at my house around 2 in the afternoon, unexpected. She'd seemed rushed, anxious, kept checking her phone. "I need you to sign these," she'd said, spreading papers across my kitchen table. "Updated homeowners insurance. The rates are going up, and these new policies have better coverage." I'd reached for the documents to read them, but she'd already flipped to the signature lines, pointed with her pen. "The lawyer already approved everything. I just need your signature here, here, and here." Let me read. "Dad, I have another appointment in 20 minutes. Please." I'd signed, trusted her. She was my daughter. I set down my pen, looked at what I'd written. The pattern was clear now. She'd needed me confused, compliant. She'd manufactured urgency, prevented me from reading carefully, invoked false authority, the lawyer who'd supposedly reviewed everything. Classic fraud tactics. I'd seen them hundreds of times in my career, identified them in the corporate schemes, exposed them in forensic audits. I'd spent 35 years as a forensic accountant. 35 years finding money people tried to hide, following paper trails, uncovering schemes. Maud had committed fraud against a forensic accountant. On the second day, another resident tried to talk to me during lunch. Elderly man with kind eyes and a shock of white hair. "First week's the hardest," he said, settling into the chair across from me. "I'm Harold. You settling in okay?" "Still adjusting." "Family visit yet?" "I don't expect them to." The words came out flatter than I intended. Harold nodded, understanding something in my tone. He didn't push. Morning of the third day, March 18th. I fell into an old routine. After breakfast, I walked to the small coffee kiosk in the lobby. They sold newspapers, snacks, drinks, and lottery tickets. The worker smiled when I approached. "Regular coffee, Mr. Smith?" "Yes." I pulled out my wallet. "And a Powerball ticket. Quick pick." "No, wait. These numbers." I wrote them on a slip of paper. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, and Powerball 7. The same numbers I'd played every week for 15 years. Martha's birthday, our anniversary, the day we'd bought our house. I'd kept playing after she passed, a ritual, a connection. "You play these before?" the worker asked, feeding my bills into the machine. "Every week for 15 years. My voice sounded distant, even to me. I took the ticket, tucked it in my shirt pocket without looking at it, and carried my coffee back to my room. That evening, I sat in the common room. Most residents gathered there after dinner to watch television, play cards, talk. I chose a chair near the back, coffee growing cold in my hands. The TV was on, some game show. Then the news, then the lottery drawing. I hadn't thought about the ticket since buying it. Habit had carried me through the purchase, muscle memory from years of the same routine. Harold sat down nearby. "You watching the numbers, Lonnie?" "Just passing time." The first number appeared on screen. 7, then 14, 21. Harold leaned forward in his seat. "Hey, you got that ticket, right? Check it." 28, 35. I pulled the ticket from my pocket slowly, looked at the numbers printed there, back to the screen. The Powerball rolled into view. 7. "I'll check it later," I said. My voice stayed controlled, level, but my hand tightened on the chair arm until my knuckles went pale. $2 million. I stood, walked back to my room while other residents chattered about how close they'd come, what they'd do if they won. In my room, I locked the door, set the ticket on the desk under the lamp, stared at it. $2 million. Most people would have been ecstatic, grateful, seeing it as salvation. I saw it as ammunition. I pulled out my notepad again, the pages already filled with timelines and connections from my reconstruction of Maud's fraud. I turned to a blank page and began writing. Not a list of things I'd buy, not dreams of luxury, a strategy. Maud thought she'd taken everything. She thought I was confused, helpless, removed. She thought she'd won. She didn't know what she'd done, didn't understand that she'd stolen from someone who'd spent his entire career tracking exactly this kind of theft. And now, I had resources she didn't know about. Past midnight, I was still writing, mapping out the steps. First, I'd claim the ticket, quietly, carefully. Then I'd hire the best attorney in Orlando, get copies of every document Maud had used, file fraud charges. But that wasn't enough. I kept writing, following the logic further. If Maud had done this, there was a reason, desperation. She needed money, which meant she was vulnerable in other ways. I'd find those ways, trace them, expose them, not just recovery, complete exposure. By sunrise, my hand was cramped from writing, but I had the outline. Not just how to get my house back, how to ensure Maud would lose everything she'd stolen, everything she'd lied for. Justice, not revenge. There's a difference. I set down my pen. The window was brightening, pale light washing away the darkness. I felt clear-headed for the first time since my birthday. The shock finally burned away by focus and purpose. I'd spent 3 days appearing broken. That ended now. I looked at the lottery ticket one more time, then tucked it safely in my wallet. The fight was just beginning. I didn't wait for breakfast. At first light, I walked out through the front entrance of Sunny Meadows. The receptionist glanced up from her computer as I passed with my small duffel bag. "Going somewhere, Mr. Smith?" "Yes." I kept walking. The automatic doors slid open. Morning air carried the scent of fresh-cut grass and car exhaust. I wasn't escaping. I was leaving. There was a difference. The taxi arrived within 15 minutes of my call from the lobby phone. I gave the driver the address of the regional bank downtown. Inside the bank, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. I waited in a chair near the manager's desk, the lottery ticket folded in my wallet. My hands were steady. 3 decades of analyzing financial documents, presenting audit findings to hostile executives. This was just another transaction. The manager appeared, a woman in her 40s with efficient movements and a professional smile. I followed her into a private office. "Mr. Smith, how can I help you today?" I placed the lottery ticket on her desk. "I need to claim this." She examined it, expression shifting from polite interest to focused attention. She turned to her computer, typed, waited. Her eyebrows rose slightly. "Congratulations, Mr. Smith. This is verified. $2 million. She paused. "The after-tax amount will be approximately $1,340,000. "I understand. I'll need to open a new account." The paperwork took an hour. Tax withholding forms, identity verification. New account set up with a number Maud had never seen, would never find unless I chose to show her. The manager printed out a temporary checkbook and debit card. "Mr. Smith, with this amount, you'll want proper legal and financial guidance. I appreciate the concern. I'm a retired forensic accountant. I understand money." Her expression shifted to something like respect. "Then you'll know the importance of asset protection." She pulled out a business card, wrote a name and number on the back. "Here, Ryan Brown, property law. The best? Discreet?" I took the card. "Property law? The best," she repeated. I called Ryan Brown from the bank parking lot. His assistant scheduled me for that afternoon. The law office was small, professional, tucked into a building off Orange Avenue. Ryan Brown met me in the lobby himself, early 30s, sharp suit, firm handshake, no pretense. In his office, I explained the situation without emotion, facts only. My daughter had me sign documents I thought were insurance forms. They transferred my house to her. I needed legal analysis, not sympathy. Ryan reviewed the photocopies I'd reconstructed from memory, details I'd written down during my planning night. He spread them across his desk, marked problems with a pen. "When did you sign these?" "A month ago." She rushed me, said her lawyer approved everything. "Did you have independent counsel present?" "No." Ryan looked up. "That's a problem, for her." He outlined the issues: no witnesses, no independent legal advice, circumstances suggesting undue influence. The documents were vulnerable. "We can challenge this transfer," he said. "The absence of independent counsel, the circumstances. It's textbook undue influence." "I know." I leaned forward slightly. "But I don't want to challenge it yet." Ryan's pen stopped moving. "You want to leave the fraudulent transfer in place?" "For now, I need to understand what else she's done first. Can you keep this confidential?" "Attorney-client privilege." He studied my face. "But I don't understand your strategy." "You will." I left Ryan's office with a retainer agreement signed and his private number in my phone. The plan was taking shape, piece by piece. Over the next 3 days, I worked with a realtor in Clearwater Beach. We viewed 6 properties. I knew what I needed: modest but solid, defensible investment, not flashy. Something Maud couldn't claim I'd bought impulsively or extravagantly. The 7th property sat 2 blocks from the beach. Ocean view from the upper windows, solid structure, recently updated. The realtor pulled up in front, handed me the listing sheet. "This just came on the market, $385,000. In this area, it'll go fast." I walked through once, checked the foundation, the windows, the roof access, stood in the empty living room, imagined furniture placement. "I'll take it. Cash offer, quick closing." The realtor blinked. "You don't want to negotiate, see other properties?" "I know what I need. How fast can we close?" "With cash," she calculated quickly. "A week, maybe less." 5 days later, March 23rd, I signed closing documents at the title company. The house was mine. I drove there immediately, unlocked the front door, walked through empty rooms that echoed with possibility. At the window facing the ocean, I allowed myself a small exhale of tension. First real breath since my birthday. The next morning, I met with a notary. Ora Martinez worked from a small office near downtown Orlando. Professional, efficient. I'd already drafted the changes to my will in careful detail. She read through my instructions without expression, then looked up. You're removing your daughter from the will entirely. Correct. Everything goes to the Elder Financial Protection Foundation. This is a substantial estate. Are you certain? Absolutely certain. I want her exclusion explicitly stated. Aura's expression showed understanding without requiring explanation. I see. I'll draft it clearly. The will was executed that afternoon. Signed, witnessed, notarized, legal, and final. On March 25th, I met a private investigator in a coffee shop near the beach. He was recommended by Ryan, former police detective, now private practice, reputation for thoroughness. I slid an envelope across the table, $2,000 cash, retainer. I need a complete financial profile on two people, Maud Smith Johnson and Kevin Johnson. Credit reports, property records, liens, anything you can legally access. The detective took notes. You want surveillance? Just financials, legal records. I need to know what she's hiding. He pocketed the envelope. Give me a week. I provided Maud's full name, last known address, date of birth, everything he'd need to start. Walking back to my car, I felt the pieces aligning. Money secured, attorney retained, new house purchased, will revised, investigation launched. Maud thought she'd taken everything. Thought I was confused, helpless, warehoused in a facility where she could forget about me. She had no idea I was building a case, gathering evidence, preparing not just to recover what she'd stolen, but to expose everything she'd done. The foundation was set. Now I waited for the cracks in her life to show themselves. The detective called on April 2nd, 10 days since I'd hired him. His voice on the phone was neutral, professional. I have your report. Can we meet? Same coffee shop, different table. This time he brought a folder, thick with documents. He spread them across the table between us, organized into sections with colored tabs. Your daughter is in serious financial trouble. He walked me through it. 7 credit cards, all maxed out. Total debt, $127,000. 3 months behind on condo mortgage payments, $45,000 in arrears. But that wasn't the worst part. She took out a home equity loan against your house, he said, tapping a document. $75,000, March 1st, 2 weeks before she moved you to Sunny Meadows. I studied the loan paperwork. The application listed Maud as the property owner. My signature appeared on the co-signer line, dated the same day as the house transfer documents. Fraudulent. Both documents orchestrated together. There's more. The detective pulled out another sheet. She and her husband are planning to sell the house. Already contacted 3 real estate agents for valuations. Market estimate, $450,000. I did the math automatically. Home sale proceeds minus the fraudulent loan, minus her credit card debt, minus mortgage arrears. She'd planned to clear maybe $200,000, enough to escape her creditors and start over. All she'd needed was for me to sign away my house and disappear quietly into a retirement facility. This is excellent work, I said. The detective closed the folder, slid it toward me. One more thing. She's been calling Sunny Meadows, started last week. They told her you'd checked out voluntarily 3 days after admission. I absorbed this. Maud knew I'd left. She'd be looking for me. Thank you. Send your final invoice to my attorney. I gave him Ryan's contact information. After he left, I sat with the folder for another hour, reading every page. The pattern was clear. Maud hadn't acted out of malice alone. She'd acted out of desperation. The debt had been building for years, compound interest and minimum payments creating a spiral she couldn't escape. Still fraud, still theft. But now I understood the pressure that had pushed her toward it. I drove back to Clearwater Beach, the folder on the passenger seat. My house, my new house, was still mostly empty. I'd ordered furniture that would arrive over the next few days, but for now, I had a folding chair, a card table, and an air mattress. I set the folder on the card table, made coffee in the machine I'd bought at a discount store, and began planning the next phase. Over the following week, the house filled gradually. Furniture delivery, kitchen supplies, bedding. I installed security cameras at the front and back entrances, connected them to my phone. Basic precautions. Days settled into a rhythm. Morning coffee watching the ocean, afternoon walks on the beach, evening reviews of the detective's report, making notes, considering angles. I was building something here, not just a home. A position, a foundation from which to act when the time came. On April 3rd, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Mr. Smith, this is Sunny Meadows. We're calling because your daughter has been trying to reach you. She seems quite concerned. Would you like us to share your current contact information?" "No," I said. "Don't give her anything." "Understood. We respect resident privacy." After I hung up, I sat very still. Maud was actively searching. The question was whether she'd find me before I was ready. The answer came faster than I expected. That evening, I checked my email and found a message from the county property appraiser's office. Standard notice of ownership transfer. Public record. My purchase of the Clearwater Beach House was now recorded in the system, searchable by anyone who knew where to look. Maud had resources. She had motivation. If she hired someone to search for my name in property records, they'd find the house within hours. I forwarded the email to Ryan with a brief note. "She'll know where I am soon. Be prepared." His response came 10 minutes later. "Cameras installed?" "Yes." "Good. Don't engage if she shows up. Call me immediately." I set my phone down, looked around the living room. New couch, new coffee table, new beginning. But the past wasn't finished with me yet. Somewhere in Orlando, Maud was receiving information, learning that I'd left Sunny Meadows, bought a house in cash, established myself independently. She'd be calculating, trying to understand how I'd afforded it, where the money came from. And when she figured out the lottery, she'd realize I wasn't just a problem to manage, I was a resource to exploit. I could almost see her face changing, panic giving way to something sharper, more predatory. The realization that her father, the man she'd discarded, stolen from, manipulated, now had significant money. Money she desperately needed. Money she'd find a way to take. I'd been planning for exposure, for justice, for the satisfaction of watching her fraud collapse under legal scrutiny. I hadn't fully considered that she might come for me directly. But as I sat in my new living room, the detective's folder open on the coffee table, I realized something else. Let her come. I had everything I needed to expose her fraud, the documentation, the lawyer, the financial resources to fight. What I didn't know was that she was already planning her next move. The hunter was about to become the hunted, or so she thought. I'd been in the new house just over a week when the doorbell camera sent an alert to my phone. The screen showed a familiar car pulling into my driveway. Maud behind the wheel, Kevin in the passenger seat, the back seat packed with luggage visible through the window. I watched them park. Maud checked her appearance in the rearview mirror, smoothing her hair, adjusting her expression. Kevin said something I couldn't hear. She nodded, opened her door. 30 seconds until the doorbell rang. I used them to close my laptop, where I'd been reviewing Ryan's latest email about documentation procedures. Composed my face into neutral calm. The doorbell chimed. I walked to the door deliberately, hand on the knob, pausing before turning it. When I opened it, I didn't swing it wide in welcome, just far enough to frame myself in the doorway. Maud's arms spread immediately. "Dad, thank goodness. We've been looking everywhere for you." "Have you?" My voice came out flat. "When Sunny Meadows said you left..." She stepped closer, forcing warmth into her tone. "We were terrified something happened." "I'm fine, as you can see." Her eyes shifted past me, scanning the interior. The ocean view through the back windows, new furniture, signs of money spent. Her performance faltered for half a heartbeat before recovering. "This house, it's beautiful." The pitch of her voice climbed higher. "How did you..." I didn't answer, just waited. Kevin stood behind her, hands in his pockets, shoulders tight with discomfort. "Dad, seriously." Maud's smile became strained. "Where did you get money for a beach house?" "I won the lottery." I delivered it without inflection. "Powerball, $2 million. She blinked. $2 million? After federal taxes, $1.34 million. I bought this house cash. The silence stretched. I watched her process the number, saw calculation flash behind her eyes. The debts she could pay, the problems that could disappear, the life she could salvage if she could just access that money. Then the loving daughter mask snapped back into place. "Dad, that's incredible." She reached for my arm. "Why didn't you tell us?" I stepped back before she could touch me. "It happened after you enrolled me in Sunny Meadows." Another flicker across her face, too quick for most people to catch. But I'd spent 3 decades reading micro-expressions and hostile audits, catching the moment executives realized I'd found their fraud. "Well, we can't leave you alone with all this." Maud's voice firmed with false authority. "We're staying to help." "That's not necessary." "Don't be silly, we're family." She turned to Kevin without waiting for my response. "Kevin, get our bags." "On it." He was already moving toward the car. I stood in the doorway, watching Kevin make the first trip with 2 large suitcases, planning at least a week, possibly longer. I stepped aside finally, gestured them in with theatrical civility. "The guest room is down the hall." Maud swept past me, already conducting her own inspection, touching furniture, checking appliances, stepping onto the deck to assess the ocean view. Kevin followed silently, making repeated trips from car to guest room. I observed from various doorways, arms crossed, cataloging each presumption for later use. By evening, they'd settled in. I ordered takeout rather than let them help with cooking. The 3 of us sat at my dining table with containers of Thai food between us. Maud barely touched hers, too focused on questioning. "So, after the house, how much do you have left?" "Enough." "But specifically?" She leaned forward. "Are you invested? Stocks? Bonds?" "I'm looking into options." "You should talk to a financial advisor." Her words came faster. "Kevin knows someone." "I'll handle my own finances." Kevin cleared his throat, trying to lighten the tension. "Beautiful view from here. You can see the sunset." "That's why I chose it." Maud set down her fork. "Must get lonely, though. Big house, all alone." "I prefer quiet." "Still, at your age." Her tone sharpened slightly. "It's good to have family close." I met her eyes. "Is it?" She smiled, but nothing warm reached her gaze. Just the cold assessment of someone looking at an ATM machine. Perfect. After dinner, I excused myself to my room, closed the door, pulled out my phone and saved the doorbell camera footage to secure storage, Maud checking her appearance, Kevin's nervous glance, their exchange of words before approaching. Evidence habit from 35 years of forensic accounting. Document everything. Assume you'll need proof later. Through the wall, I could hear them talking in the guest room. Voices too low to make out words, but the tone was clear. Excited, conspiratorial. They thought they'd found the prize. Let them think it. I opened my laptop, sent Ryan a brief encrypted message. "They're here, proceeding as planned." His response came within minutes. "Cameras recording?" "Everything." "Good, be careful." I set the laptop aside, lay back on the bed, stared at the ceiling. Maud thought she was running a con, moving in, establishing herself, gaining access to my money. She thought I was naive, trusting, vulnerable to manipulation. She had no idea I was documenting every word, every action, every presumption, building a case that would demolish not just her theft of my house, but expose every fraudulent action she'd taken. The hunter had come to my door with luggage and fake smiles. She didn't realize she'd walked into a trap I'd spent 3 weeks building. Morning came with the smell of burnt toast. I found Maud in my kitchen, waving a towel at the smoke detector. Kevin sat at the counter, looking embarrassed. "Sorry, Dad." Maud's cheerfulness sounded forced. "Just wanted to make you breakfast." I opened windows, cleared the smoke. "I usually just have coffee." "Well, you need proper meals." She scraped blackened bread into the trash. "I'll do better tomorrow." The days that followed settled into an uncomfortable rhythm. Maud and Kevin occupying my space, inserting themselves into my routine. Morning coffee became crowded, afternoon walks interrupted by their offers to join me. Evening meals turned into interrogation sessions disguised as family time. I documented everything. Photos of Maud going through my mail when she thought I wasn't watching. Voice recordings of dinner conversations where she probed about bank accounts, investments, estate planning. Notes with dates and times of Kevin's computer searches. I'd caught him Googling terms like elderly parent estate planning and access to parent's bank account. Over the next 2 weeks, Maud's performance evolved. The burnt breakfasts gave way to takeout she claimed to have cooked. The fake concern became more elaborate. She started leaving brochures around the house, estate planning services, financial advisors, even assisted living facilities, just for information. On April 15th, I found a glossy pamphlet on the coffee table titled "Protecting Your Legacy, Family Trust Solutions." That evening, over dinner, Maud brought it up. "Dad, I've been thinking, With your money, you really should set up a family trust. Should I? For tax purposes. And to make sure everything's protected. She used her business voice, the one that had probably convinced clients to buy overpriced properties. Kevin and I could help manage it. I'm capable of managing my own money. Of course. Too bright, too fast. But at your age, it's smart to have backup. What if something happened? I cut my chicken deliberately. What do you imagine might happen? Just, memory issues, health problems. She reached across the table as if to pat my hand. We're just trying to help. I moved my hand before she could touch it. Kevin shifted in his seat. The house is great, though. Really comfortable. Thank you. I kept my eyes on Maud. How long are you planning to stay? Oh, we're not in any hurry, she smiled. We want to make sure you're settled, stable. I'm very stable. Well, we'll see. That night, I met Ryan at his office. I'd told Maud I was going for a walk, then drove the 20 minutes to downtown Clearwater. Ryan spread my documentation across his conference table. Photos, transcripts, the recorded conversations where Maud pressed me about money. She's building up to something, he said. I know. Probably a direct ask for money soon. And you'll refuse? Not immediately. I pointed to a transcript. Look at the pattern. Every time I resist, she pivots, tries a new angle. I want her to exhaust all the subtle approaches first. Get desperate enough to make mistakes. Ryan studied me. This is almost cruel, Lonnie. Is it? I met his gaze. She stole my house through fraud. Enrolled me in a facility to warehouse me. Now she's living in my new house trying to manipulate me into giving her money. Which part of that deserves mercy? He didn't argue. 2 days later, on April 18th, Maud made her move. We were on the deck watching sunset. Kevin had gone to the store. Maud had sent him away deliberately. I could tell by how she waited until his car left the driveway to speak. Dad, I need to talk to you about something serious. I sipped my coffee, waited. Kevin and I are in a difficult situation. Her voice dropped to confidential. We have an opportunity to invest in a franchise, auto service center, but we need capital. How much capital? $150,000. I let the number sit there, watched her try to read my reaction. It's a guaranteed return, she continued. We'd pay you back within 2 years, with interest. And if I say no? Her jaw tightened. Dad, we're family. We're here taking care of you. We're asking for help with a legitimate business opportunity. Let me think about it. How long? A few days. Her smile became brittle. Of course. Take your time. That night, I left a bank statement on my desk, deliberately, where she'd find it if she went looking. The statement showed the balance of a decoy account I'd set up. $890,000. It took her less than 12 hours to find it. The next morning, April 20th, I walked into my home office to find Maud stepping away from my desk, face flushed. Just looking for a pen, she said quickly. There's a cup full of them on the counter. Right, yes, thank you. She hurried out. I sat at the desk, noted that the statement had been moved slightly, photographed its new position for my documentation. That evening, Maud's energy changed. She and Kevin whispered intensely in the guest room. Their voices carried through the wall, not words, but tone, excited, greedy. They thought they'd found what they were looking for. Nearly $1 million sitting in an account, waiting to be accessed. What they didn't know, most of my money was elsewhere, hidden in accounts they'd never find. The $890,000 was real enough, but it was bait. Something to make Maud reckless. I opened my locked desk drawer, added the day's observations to my documentation log, the statement I'd left, Maud's flushed face when I caught her, the whispered excitement through the wall. Every piece of evidence pointing toward her intent, her manipulation, her greed. The trap was almost ready. All I needed now was for her to spring it herself. The morning after Maud saw the statement, I called Ryan. It's time, I said. Set up the trust meeting. He knew what I meant. I found Maud and Kevin in the kitchen, finishing breakfast. I took my usual seat at the dining table, folded my hands, adopted a formal tone. I've been thinking about your situation. I want to help. Maud set down her coffee cup immediately, leaned forward. Dad, I've decided to give you $50,000 through a trust structure to minimize tax implications. I watched her face. The initial flash of excitement, then calculation. $50,000 versus the $150,000 she'd asked for. Then disappointment quickly masked by forced gratitude. That's generous, Dad. Kevin nudged her under the table. Very generous, thank you. Though we had discussed the franchise investment, Maud started carefully. The $150,000 opportunity. This is what I'm comfortable giving. My lawyer will arrange it. Her smile became brittle. Of course, whatever you think is best. 4 days later, we sat in Ryan's conference room. Professional setting, leather chairs, wall of law books. Ryan spread documents across the polished table. Ms. Johnson, the trust requires full financial disclosure from recipients. Maud straightened. What kind of disclosure? Tax returns for the past 3 years, current credit report, existing loan documentation, asset statements. Is that really necessary for a gift? IRS regulations? Ryan's tone stayed professional, neutral. Gift over $18,000 requires documentation. We can't proceed without it. Maud looked at me. I sat quietly, appearing passive, elderly. Let her see what she expected. An old man being managed by his lawyer. Fine. She reached for the authorization forms. I'll provide everything. She signed, one form after another, each granting access to different financial records. Ryan made copies efficiently, organized them in labeled folders. I sat quietly, cataloging every document she signed away. The next week, Ryan called me to his office. Maud's financial records spread across his conference table. Left side, tax returns showing inflated income, credit reports with 7 maxed cards. Right side, the evidence. Home equity loan application dated March 1st, Ryan said, pointing. House transfer dated March 14th. She took the loan 2 weeks before officially owning the property. I examined the loan documents, my signature on the co-signer line, forged, the penmanship close but not exact, the L too round, the H too angular. Ryan assembled the evidence package with tabs and exhibit labels, professional, prosecutorial. Once we file this complaint with the Florida Office of Financial Regulation, there's no going back. I looked up from the documents. File it. He drafted the complaint that afternoon. I signed it. We submitted electronically. Confirmation arrived within an hour. The regulators moved faster than I expected. On May 5th, I was reading in my living room when Maud's voice erupted from the kitchen. That's impossible! Check again! I walked to the doorway, coffee cup in hand. Maud stood at the counter, phone pressed to her ear, face flushed. I need to speak to a supervisor, now. Pause. 15 minutes? Fine. I'll hold. Kevin hovered nearby, nervous energy radiating from him. What's wrong? He asked. My card was declined, all of them. She jabbed at her phone screen, checking another account. Online purchase won't process either. She spent the next 15 minutes on hold, pacing the kitchen, checking other cards. All declined. When the bank representative finally came back, I heard Maud's voice rising. What do you mean frozen? Investigation into what? Pause. You can't tell me? This is my account. Longer pause. A letter? How long until? Fine. Fine. She hung up, stared at the phone. They froze everything, she told Kevin. Said something about an investigation. They're mailing a letter. Investigation into what? They wouldn't say. Her hands shook slightly. This doesn't make sense. Kevin glanced at me, still standing in the doorway. Could it be related to, don't say it out loud. Maud's voice turned sharp. I sipped my coffee, said nothing, returned to the living room. 3 days later, the mail brought answers. I retrieved the letters from the box that morning. One envelope caught my attention. First Orlando Bank, addressed to current resident at my old house, forwarded to Clearwater. I opened it at the dining table with my letter opener, deliberate, precise. Read the official letterhead and formal language. Maud appeared in the doorway. I walked over, placed the letter in front of her, stepped back, arms crossed. She picked it up, started reading, color drained from her face. Investigation into loan documentation irregularities. All transactions suspended pending resolution. Property sale postponed indefinitely. Silence filled the room. Then she exploded. You did this! She slammed the letter down. You're sabotaging the house sale. I filed a complaint. My voice stayed level. About the fraudulent loan. What fraudulent loan? The $75,000 home equity loan you took against my house, with my forged signature, before you even officially owned it. That was, she stammered. You had given me the house. Through fraud. I met her eyes, held them. I'm protecting my rights. You should have been more careful. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. You're not confused at all, are you? You've known all along. I've known since the night you took me from my house. I kept my voice cold, clinical. I'm a forensic accountant, Maud. I've spent 35 years tracking fraud. Did you really think I wouldn't recognize it when my own daughter tried it on me? She stared, seeing me clearly for the first time, not a confused old man, not a victim, someone who'd been 3 steps ahead from the beginning. The trust fund, she whispered, the financial disclosure, evidence collection. You gave me everything I needed to prove what you'd done. Kevin appeared behind her, face pale. Maud, we should... Shut up. She didn't look at him, kept her eyes locked on mine. What do you want? Justice. I picked up the letter, folded it carefully. And my house back. You can't do this. We'll fight you. You're welcome to try. I walked past her, letter in hand, heading to my office to call Ryan. Behind me, I heard Maud's breathing, fast and shallow. The trap had closed. Now came the consequences. Maud fought back with everything she had left. 2 days after our confrontation, a man in a suit appeared at my door. Clinical psychologist, he introduced himself, hired to conduct a competency evaluation. I invited him in, offered coffee, answered his questions calmly. Memory tests, cognitive assessments. Questions about current events, my daily routine, my ability to manage finances. He completed his evaluation in an hour, wrote his report right there at my dining table. Mr. Smith, you're remarkably sharp for your age, fully competent in all assessed areas. He closed his folder. I'll submit my report to whoever requested it, but I can't in good conscience suggest otherwise. After he left, I called Ryan. She tried a competency challenge, and the doctor said I'm fine, submitted his report. She's getting desperate. The next week brought a different attack. Maud appeared in my kitchen doorway, holding documents I recognized, power of attorney forms. Dad, we need to talk about protecting your assets. I didn't look up from my newspaper. No, we don't. If you just sign these, Kevin and I could help manage. No. She set the papers on the table in front of me. You're being stubborn. I'm being careful. I turned a page. Leave the papers. I'll have Ryan review them. You don't need Ryan to... Yes, I do. I finally looked at her. I need a lawyer because my daughter committed fraud against me. Strange how that changes family dynamics. She grabbed the papers, left the kitchen. That evening, she tried a different approach, softer, almost pleading. Dad, please, we're desperate. The house sale is blocked. Our accounts are frozen. We have nowhere to go. You should have thought of that before forging my signature. I made mistakes, but I'm still your daughter. My daughter stole my house. I kept my voice even. That person doesn't get help from me. Kevin appeared behind her. Mr. Smith, please. Isn't there some way? No. I stood, walked past them both. You have until the end of the month to leave. After that, I'm filing trespassing charges. They left 5 days later, packed their car in silence, drove away without goodbye. The house felt cleaner after they were gone. On June 1st, Ryan filed the civil lawsuit, fraud in the inducement, undue influence, unjust enrichment, seeking to void the house transfer and recover all money Maud had obtained through fraud. The case number arrived, the court date, June 18th. I spent the intervening weeks preparing, organized every piece of evidence into color-coded folders, timeline with precise dates, recordings transcribed and verified, documentation of every manipulation, every lie, every fraudulent action. When the hearing came, I drove to Orlando, to the Orange County Courthouse. Ryan met me in the hallway outside the courtroom. Ready? I've been ready since March 15th. We entered. Maud and Kevin sat at the defendant's table with their attorney, a tired-looking man I recognized from personal injury billboards. The judge entered. We stood, sat. The proceedings began. Ryan presented our case methodically, started with the original house transfer documents. March 14th, 2025, Mr. Smith allegedly transferred his home to his daughter. No independent legal counsel present. No explanation of rights. Signature obtained under false pretenses. He showed the insurance forms Maud had claimed the documents were. Showed my statement about the circumstances. 2 weeks prior, on March 1st, the defendant obtained a home equity loan against the property before officially owning it. The application bears Mr. Smith's forged signature. Ryan projected the loan application on the courtroom screen. My signature. Then a document I'd actually signed for comparison. The differences were visible. The judge leaned forward, studying them. Furthermore, Ryan continued, the defendant enrolled Mr. Smith in a retirement facility immediately after obtaining the transfer, isolating him while she planned to sell the property. He presented the detective's report, Maud's debts, her financial desperation, the timeline showing premeditation. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was calculated fraud. Maud's attorney tried to argue, claim misunderstanding, family disagreement, her good intentions. But he had nothing to counter the evidence. No documents, no credible explanation for the forged signature or the timing. The judge asked me direct questions. Mr. Smith, did you understand you were transferring your house? No, Your Honor. I believed I was signing insurance documents. Did your daughter explain what the documents were? She said her lawyer had reviewed them, and I just needed to sign. Did you have your own attorney present? No, Your Honor. She said it wasn't necessary. The judge made notes, looked at Maud. Ms. Johnson, did you tell your father these were insurance documents? Her attorney whispered to her. She leaned toward the microphone. I may have. I don't remember exactly what I said. You don't remember? The judge's tone sharpened. You obtained transfer of a $450,000 property, and you don't remember what you told your father about the documents? Silence. The judge reviewed the evidence for another 20 minutes, asked more questions, examined the timeline. Finally, he looked up. The evidence is clear. Ms. Johnson obtained the property transfer through fraud and undue influence. The transfer is void. The property reverts to Mr. Smith immediately. His gavel fell. Furthermore, Ms. Johnson must repay the $75,000 fraudulent loan plus penalties and interest, totaling $98,000. Within 90 days. She must vacate the property within 72 hours. This case is also being referred to the Florida Bar Association for investigation of the attorney who allegedly approved these documents. Another strike of the gavel. We're adjourned. I stood as the judge exited, collected my papers. Ryan put his hand on my shoulder briefly. Across the courtroom, Maud sat frozen, Kevin beside her, equally stunned. I walked out without looking back. In the hallway, Ryan exhaled. That went better than expected. It went exactly as expected. I kept walking toward the exit. When you have evidence, outcomes are predictable. Behind us, I heard Maud's voice. Dad, wait. I didn't stop, didn't turn. Ryan glanced back, then at me. That's not the end for them. No. I pushed open the courthouse door, stepped into bright June sunshine. The financial consequences are just beginning. The property manager called 3 days after the hearing. Mr. Smith, I need to show you the house condition. They left it in bad shape. I drove to Orlando that afternoon. The manager met me outside, already apologetic. How bad? I asked. See for yourself. Inside, damage was everywhere. Cabinet doors hung loose, carpet stains in the bedroom, trash piled in corners, marks on walls where they had dragged furniture without care. I walked through with my phone camera, recording everything. The manager pointed out each issue. I made notes. Kitchen cabinet repair, $300. Bedroom carpet replacement, $800. Get quotes for repairs, I said. I want it listed by end of week. I'll have contractors here tomorrow. On June 25th, I returned with a locksmith. Watched him drill out the old locks, install new ones. He handed me 3 keys. I tested each lock, felt the solid click. This house was mine again, secured. I hired a real estate agent that same day. She walked through, making notes, already calculating. Even with needed repairs, this neighborhood is strong. I'd list at $450,000. How long to sell? Current market, 30 to 60 days for the right buyer. Do it. I want this done. I'll have it listed by tomorrow afternoon. The listing went live. June 28th. Within a week, showings started. By mid-July, an offer came. We have a buyer, the agent said. All cash, $440,000, quick close. Accept it. On July 15th, I sat in the title company office, signing the final documents. The buyer, young couple, excited about their first house, sat across from me. The check was cut, handed across the table. I folded it, placed it in my jacket pocket. Nearly $2 million in total assets now. The Clearwater house, this money. Everything I'd lost, recovered. Everything I'd built, secured. I shook hands with the buyers. Take care of it. I raised my daughter there. The woman smiled. We will. We're planning renovations. Good. It deserves that. Walking to my car, I felt something settle. One chapter truly closed. 5 days later, my doorbell camera alerted me. Maud, alone, no car visible, probably took the bus. She looked different, thinner, worn, cheaper clothes. The polished real estate manager persona was gone, replaced by exhausted desperation. She rang the bell, waited. I walked to the door, didn't open it, stood on my side of the glass. Let her see me. Let her understand the barrier was deliberate. Her voice came through muffled but clear. Dad, please, I'm sorry. I made terrible mistakes. We have nothing left. Please help us. I kept my voice level. You put me in a nursing home on my birthday, stole my house. I was desperate. I didn't know what else to do. Now you understand what I felt. Helpless, betrayed, used. I'm your daughter. Tears on her face. How can you be so cruel? I'm being fair. I met her eyes through the glass. I took nothing that belonged to you. You tried to steal everything I had. Now face the consequences. She pressed her hand against the glass. Please, just something, anything. We're going to lose everything. You already lost everything because you gambled with stolen property. What am I supposed to do? What everyone does, work, rebuild, learn from mistakes. I can't survive like this. You'll survive. You just won't thrive. That's justice. She stood there, crying, hands still on the glass. I turned away, walked back into my house, closed the inner door, solid wood, final barrier, didn't look back. On August 1st, I checked public bankruptcy filings online. Old forensic accountant habit, found what I expected. Maud Smith Johnson and Kevin Johnson. Chapter 7, Bankruptcy. Filing date, July 28th. Total debts, $243,000. Assets, none. Current income, $3,200 monthly, combined. New address. Apartment complex I recognize from the detective reports. Bad neighborhood. Cheap rent. The creditor list filled pages. Every credit card, the mortgage company, medical bills, legal fees. My detective's final report arrived that same day. They'd separated. Divorce paperwork filed. Kevin moved to a different cheap apartment across town. Maud working retail. Kevin doing delivery driving, both scraping by. I read the report at my desk, then filed it away. Some might call what I did cruel, but they hadn't walked into their kitchen on their birthday to find their daughter taking their life away. I'd given Maud every chance, let her make her choices, documented her actions, used the legal system properly, took back only what was mine. The difference between justice and revenge? I didn't have to destroy her. She destroyed herself. I just refused to be destroyed with her. My phone buzzed. Email notification. The sender, Maud. Subject line. I'm sorry. I deleted it without opening. Some words come too late. Some bridges burn too completely. I looked around my Clearwater beach house. Sunlight through the windows. Ocean visible in the distance. Peace I'd built from ruins. The chapter was closed. Time to write new ones. August 16th, 1 month after the final sale. 5 months since my birthday betrayal. I sat at my desk reviewing accounts. The numbers were clear. After the house sale, after all expenses, after everything, I had $1.3 million in liquid assets. The Clearwater house worth another $400,000. More than I'd started with, more than I'd lost. But numbers weren't the point anymore. I opened my laptop, navigated to the Elder Financial Protection Foundation website, the charity I'd named in my updated will. They helped victims of financial elder abuse, education, legal support, emergency funds. I initiated a wire transfer, $250,000. My bank manager called within the hour. Mr. Smith, I need to verify this large transfer. It's correct. Charitable donation to the Elder Financial Protection Foundation. That's very generous. It's necessary. The foundation director called the next day via video. Woman in her 50s, professional but warm. Mr. Smith, this donation is transformative for our work. May I ask what inspired it? Personal experience. My daughter committed financial fraud against me. I had resources to fight back. Most people don't. We'll use this to help people like you. People unlike me, I corrected. I won. Help the ones who can't. After the call ended, I sat quietly. The money was gone. Good. It would do more good there than sitting in my account. Ryan called on August 23rd. Final update. The Bar Association concluded their investigation. The attorney who supposedly reviewed Maud's documents never existed. She made up the name. Additional charges? She's on probation for the fraud conviction. They added falsifying legal representation to her record. Won't change her situation much. She's already at rock bottom. And the house? Title's clear. No liens, no claims. It's completely yours again and now sold to new owners. Clean slate. Thank you, Ryan, for everything. You did the hard part. I just filed the paperwork. He paused. How are you doing? Better than expected. Good. You earned it. After hanging up, I realized he was right. Not about deserving peace, though maybe I did, but about earning it through proper channels, legal system, evidence, patience. That evening, I took my usual walk on the beach. Sunset painted the water gold and pink. Other people scattered along the sand, families, couples, people living their lives. I'd spent 5 months fighting, planning, executing, winning. Now, I was just living. On August 28th, another email from Maud appeared. I saw the subject line. Please read this. I considered deleting it like the last one, but curiosity pulled me. I opened it. Dad, I know you won't forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness. What I did was unforgivable. I stole from you, manipulated you, treated you like an obstacle instead of my father. I'm not writing to ask for help. I know that door is closed. I'm writing because you deserve to know I understand now. What I did, how wrong it was, how it felt for you. I've lost everything, my house, my marriage, my career, my dignity. Some days I can barely afford food, and every single bit of it is my own fault. I won't ask you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, truly, completely sorry. I hope you find peace. You deserve it. Maud. I read it twice, then closed the laptop. The words were probably genuine, too late, but genuine. Forgiveness wasn't mine to give anymore. That door had closed when she'd taken my house keys and put them in her purse while looking me in the eyes. Some actions destroy trust permanently. That's not cruelty, that's consequence. I didn't respond, didn't delete, just left it in my inbox, acknowledged but unanswered. On the last day of August, I woke before dawn, walked down to the beach. The sky was lightening, stars fading, waves steady and rhythmic. A few other early risers walked the sand, joggers, shell collectors, people starting their days. I stood at the water's edge, feeling the ocean breeze, watching the horizon. 5 months ago, I'd been powerless, betrayed, alone in a facility I hadn't chosen. Now I stood on my own property, financially secure, legally vindicated, future open. The anger was gone, replaced by something quieter. Satisfaction, maybe. Or just peace. Maud had tried to steal my life. Instead, she'd lost her own. I didn't have to destroy her. The legal system did that. Evidence, truth, justice. The sunrise began, light spreading across the water, beautiful and ordinary and new. I wasn't young anymore, 67 years old, but age wasn't helplessness. Experience was strength, patience was power, knowledge was protection. Martha would have been proud, not of the revenge, she'd have hated that word, but of the refusal to be a victim, of the fight to reclaim what was mine. I turned from the ocean, headed back toward the house. New day, new chapter. The past was settled, the present was secure, the future, that was mine to write. And this time, nobody would take it from me. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.